Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
I'm Derek Lemaster.
This is Green Blooded Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week. We go over the horror news, and guys, for the third time, we step into the absolute terrifying horror of the Amityville horror. For the third dimension, guys. I mean, when movies hit the third chapter and we go into the 3D, that's when it's always the most terrifying and definitely the most shocking and hardcore of the entire series. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
I'm okay.
Okay. Why did you sound like you just went really far away all of a sudden?
Yeah, you got really quiet.
Me?
Yeah. Probably put in your headphones. Mm-hmm.
I have my headphones in.
That's weird. Maybe you're fine now. He just sounded like he went quiet, didn't he?
I muted myself so I could hack up a lung, but
Well, you do that all the time. You do that all the time.
or just
All
let
right,
me
guys.
take myself off mute.
That's true. We have a lot to talk about with tonight's movie. The third Amityville horror movie, just called Amityville 3D. There is no horror in this one, which is appropriate, I suppose. But we'll get into that. But first, I want to hit up some horror news. I'll start with the big one, guys. Have you guys seen it?
What?
Have you guys
Nope.
seen? You haven't seen the Toxic Avenger yet?
Nope.
We have. There he is, guys. We have our first footage of Toxie.
Oh, dang.
Yep. And then we have like this teaser poster as well. What are you guys thinking on this so far? What do you think of this picture? What do you think of his design?
And that's Peter Dinklage, right?
Peter Dinklage, yes.
I mean, he looks a little bit like Martian Manhunter meets Jason Voorhees, but I mean,
Yeah, I'm.
the
Yeah.
trailer. Let's see the trailer.
Yeah, I don't love the eye is a little bit distracting. It's kind of cool, but interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to think yet. I mean, we're of course interested to see it. It is kind of scary that it's been shelved for as long as it was, right? But it is getting a wide theatrical release this August, unrated. So that's great. So we can finally see this thing. Are you guys more optimistic having seen Toxie or less?
I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion on this because I've never seen the original. So I'm like,
Right.
I'm just like, I'm here for it. I don't know. It looks fine to me, but
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
I don't remember the eye looking like that. So
it did not look like that. So I'm also going to share. I've got a couple other pictures of Toxie if you want to see it. So there's another angle of him. Yeah. Then there's the one that we saw.
I mean, the makeup looks good. The design looks cool. The costuming.
I'm wondering, so is he just going to be, yeah, I don't know. It's Peter Dinklage, of course, as Toxie. So I'm going to assume that they are, just, he's going to be Peter Dinklage height, right? Or, is he going to be a giant? It doesn't look like it.
Right,
so-
like, are they going to scale him up or like what? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
I don't know.
They could.
They could, yeah. What do you think, D?
I need the trailer. I need the trailer. I'm a little skeptical. I will say that Peter Dinklage is an amazing actor, so he had to have been drawn to this part for some reason, I would imagine. I need the trailer.
Yeah.
And I need it real bad. I need to figure out.
Yeah. What's going
Because
on?
the first trailer of the Munsters, like, we nailed it. We're like, man, this thing's gonna be a pile of dog excrement.
Yeah, we knew. We knew pretty early that the Munsters was going to be. I mean, the first trailer was just one of the worst things we ever saw. So we were like, well, I mean, I don't think they would purposely put out like a shitty trailer. Usually, put your best foot forward. So if the trailer is but here's the thing. Here's the thing with trailers. I'm going to get on a little bit of a tangent. Nowadays, a good trailer usually means a movie has at least some quality. But I mean, like they can cut mean trailers now. They're an art form to themselves. Like, do you remember the trailer to Suicide Squad and how it looked like it was fucking amazing? Looked like it was going to like slap, and then it came out and it was the Suicide Squad. You're like, oh, yeah.
It could have been worse.
I mean,
Could have been
barely. Yeah, I mean, if it's the Monsters, it could have been worse. But yeah, like that. But back in the day, here's my theory. Here's why I mentioned it, is because all trailers like pre-1990, I feel like, were just fucking awful. Like, you watch a trailer for a movie and you're like, you watch a trailer for something like Ghostbusters or Jaws, movies that are like phenomenal, and you're like, trailer fucking sucked. That movie looks like it's gonna be bad, but it's not. It's Ghostbusters and Jaws.
Right.
Sometimes they could get it. Like the Raiders trailer is great, but have you seen the trailer for the original Star Wars?
No,
it's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. Like, it's like Star Wars, and it just shows scenes out of context. Just just with no music. Star Wars, and it's like, coming to a galaxy, or coming to your galaxy this Christmas. And you're just like, I mean, I guess in 1977, people were like, that fucking trailer ripped. But now we're like, whoa.
Yeah, you can totally see like a big like difference in the era that the movies are coming out. Like, I mean, all the way from each decade, I feel like you can see like a huge difference. And now they are down to a science where like it's hard to tell if a movie is going to be bad. But I feel like I have like a skill of like being able to determine that. And with the Munsters, I remember still being hopeful. I was so misled.
Yeah, for sure. One of the, I think the 90s had the best trailers, actually, because they had that guy in a world, the guy.
Yeah.
This guy's voice was always the best. And it was always like, John McClane is running out of time. You're like, fuck yeah. Yeah, he is, but he'll do it. Anyway, that's enough trailer talk. Let's get back onto the horror news. This is interesting. Neil Blomkamp, the director of District 9, Elysium, he is directing a Starship Troopers movie.
Really? Oh.
A new Starship Troopers. Yes.
Hell yeah.
So he's going to write and direct it, which is going to readapt the novel. So it's not going to be like a sequel. It's just going to be another adaptation, it looks like, which I'd like to see his adaptation. But that's a movie we've got to do, guys, because fucking Paul Verhoeven's Starship Troopers rips. Right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm like, I haven't seen that movie in like 20 years, man. So, and I don't think I saw any of the sequels after. So,
no, not the directed DVD sequels. No, I don't think I've.
Everybody needs a little. What's his name? Richard Van Deen.
Casper Van
Dien. I was so close.
Richard Van Deen.
Richard, they're in the same. One's a derivative of the other.
Casper Van Dien. Yeah, we'll have to do that one. But what do you guys think of? I think Neil Blomkamp is a great choice for this.
I do too. Yeah, I'm actually excited. I remember my best friend making me watch Starship Troopers because that was one of his, favorite sci-fi movies growing up. And I was like, whatever, man, this is for boys,
Yeah.
And like, so yeah, I really like this director a lot. I like a lot of his movies.
He's great. We'll have to do Starship Troopers at some point because it is awesome.
Yeah.
So Chloe Grace Moretz is starring in a new serial killer thriller called The Edge of Normal from Carletta Peretta, who did the Piggy movie. This plot line, it's a movie called Piggy. That's what they're known for. So the plot is Reeve Leclerc, who is Moretz, is still haunted from when she was held captive as a teenager by a sadistic man. But when her psychiatrist asks her to mentor a newly rescued survivor, she's pulled into a chilling game of cat and mouse, one that threatens to drag her back into the nightmare she barely escaped. What do you guys think? I like her.
I like her.
Yeah, I do too.
So, I mean, I'll check it out. And I love a good serial killer thriller. Don't we all? So,
yep.
Why did you laugh like you were a serial killer?
I laughed because I said serial killer thriller and it rhymed and it made me laugh. You want the real answer. That's why. I amused myself. I was like, but yeah, we'll check that out. That sounds fun, right? And then this is the last bit of horror news. I opened with the big news. Usually I close with it, but I'm closing with some decently big news. That's pretty cool. Which is a movie that I want to do soon, actually. But we are getting a remake of the 1992 thriller Single White Female, starring Jenna Ortega and Taylor Russell.
Interesting.
Have you guys seen Single White Female with Bridget Fonda and Jennifer Jason Leigh?
It sounds super familiar.
I would say not since I was a kid, but that sounds terrible.
No, but yeah, that's when I watched it. Was when I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a solid one. We'll have to do it at some point. It's a movie that could be dapped for a remake. I think it's primed for a remake. The plot, Lydia, is a woman is searching for a new roommate, so she puts an ad in the classifieds for a single white female.
Mm-hmm.
You know that she's a single white female in search of a new roommate, and she gets a roommate who slowly starts becoming obsessed with her and mimicking her and trying to live her life. Pretty fucking good one.
Yeah, okay, I've definitely heard of this. I'm not sure if I've seen it.
Pretty good. I like
my chair just squeaked.
See, and
sure,
I feel like
sure.
Dang it.
The reason why this. Oh, sorry, guys.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Derek. You were actually talking about business.
What was I saying? So I think one of the reasons why I think this would really work as a remake is the original, while known, it's not like a super cult classic, and it's not like a box office, juggernaut or anything like that. Like it laid the groundwork. So I think it's pretty easy to redo something like that. It's really hard to redo a fucking killer movie. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and so it's an IP that's known but not too well known. You can obviously give it an updated take because now it can, you have all the technology that comes with, it being 30 plus years. So all of that's possible, but and it's as Jenna Ortega, who is one of the biggest stars in the world right now. So I think that's going to be a pretty cool idea. So we'll see how that one goes.
Yarp.
All right, guys, and that wraps up the horror news. So picture it. It's 1983. Several years before, 1979, Amityville Horror came out, and scared the pants off of a whole generation of folks. Not so much us, but a whole bunch of folks back then were terrified of it. You know, we of course found it kind of plodding and slow. But there's stuff in it that works. I think we all agree that the performances are great, especially, you know, James Brolin and Margot Kidder. They're just like, you know, but so, you know, then a couple years later we have the Amityville 2, The Possession, which we watched. Also, not the best, grody. You know, it's kind of ick because it fictionalizes the DeFeo family murders as him being possessed by a demon. A little ick. There's also some incest in there, which Derek approved of, by the way.
That did not happen. Never happened.
But no, the incest part did, but Derek approval did not happen. That's correct. I just made that part up because it'd be funny to say. So, you know, the Amityville acolytes are waiting for the third movie. What could it be? You know, you opened with this, you know, kind of soapy movie, but like kind of hardcore, right? And then you have this second sequel, which is even more hardcore, really, because it's grosser and it's, you know, kind of leaning into the demons and leaning into like the salacious details of the DeFeo murder. So, what better way to make your third sequel than to just take all the stuff that worked in that original and just don't use any of it?
But make it 3D. You forgot that part.
3D because it's the third one, you see. So, guys, have any of you... Is this any of your first times watching this? You've never seen this, Lydia. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it, yeah. I've seen the cover with the...
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a story about this, so...
Oh, okay. Do tell, Derek.
All right. So, let's see. This would have been 1994, 95, 96, like right in there. Like I was in, I think I was in sixth grade. So I went over and stayed a couple of nights with a good friend of mine when we were in elementary school. And so we rented this movie. Okay. And we're watching it and not having it, like this had Lori Loughlin in it. So we didn't even know who Meg Ryan was really. So like, when we saw Lori Loughlin, we're like, Aunt Becky, that's Aunt Becky from Full House. And so like, we're watching this movie and this will be a little bit of a spoiler. When she died, I'm not kidding. All three of us cried. Not cried like we were just like, Aunt Becky. We were so sad. Funny. We watched this. It was one of those like Friday, Saturday, like Sunday things. So like we rented it on Friday night and we watched it like 2 or 3 times, like over the course of the weekend because it was scary and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, when you're 6.
Well, let me tell you my story with the Amityville 3. So we talked about how I felt when the first Amityville came. You know, when I was a kid and I watched the first Amityville, because I did think it was scary as a kid. You know, it scared me enough that I went into my parents' room, tried to get them because I had nightmares about it. It was scary, and I was little. Amityville 2, I didn't watch till I was a little bit older, I think. But Amityville 3, I saw shortly thereafter, and I'm like, oh, it was probably as scary as Amityville. Dear viewer, it was not. I remember I've seen this thing several times, and almost every time I have to tap out by like the half hour to 45-minute mark because just nothing fucking is happening. And it's just like, whoa. But I remember the first time I watched it, and I was just like, okay, the opening happens, and immediately I just know the vibe's different, and we get this cheesy ass music, and like, what the fuck is this shit? I remember being 8 years old and saying, this is not my Amityville. I don't know what this is. So, guys, let's talk about that. I mean, from the beginning, the tone is completely different, and it is. So I'm going to give. How did I put? I'm just going to say it now, and we'll go into. So, what this movie felt like, okay, is that they wanted to make a sequel to Amityville. They started to kind of come up with ideas and write it, and then so this came out in 1983. Then the producer went to the movies and saw fucking Poltergeist. And it was like, we should try to do that. And then they horribly tried to do it. That's what this movie feels like. 100% that they saw Poltergeist and they tried to do Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
That. I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, based on the ending, especially.
The ending is Poltergeist. It's Poltergeist. But more like Shitgeist or something. We'll talk about it. But this opening is so funny because it's, again, there's just this movie. I mean, we'll talk. You guys can chime in, talk about whatever. But this movie lacks any sort of tension. Like, I just don't feel like there's literally any tension in this thing. It's like a wet rag of suspense. There's no suspense, no tension. So this opening scene, when we see this, obviously it's a phony. We find out that's a phony. But when the woman's like, woo, it's like feels. So this is directed by Richard Lester. I mean, not Richard Lester, but Richard Fleischer. And this feels like 1940s haunted house movie. Right? Tell me, what do you guys think? Am I wrong? Am I crazy?
Yeah, I think you're definitely onto something there. But I feel like that really played in for me of how much I liked the beginning of this. I really liked this beginning of this where they catch these phony seancers. Like, I don't know. I thought it was cool.
I love the idea of them catching phony seancers and stuff. I think that's a cool idea. I think that's a cool premise. But it just is so hokey. Like, it is. So they're like,
it did get me though. Like, I wasn't sure like where it was going. Like, I wasn't sure if they were.
Well, yeah, you don't know that. Well, that's the thing. You don't, but you're like, even if you don't, you're like, this is fucking super cheesy. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, for sure. The psychic.
The psychic woman, especially. So Richard Fleischer, by the way, guys, is a great filmmaker. I'm just going to read off a couple of his big movies, so you know that this guy can direct. I'm not saying he can't direct. That's what I'm saying. He did 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, The Fantastic Voyage in 1966, did Tora, the original Dr. Dolittle, Soylent Green, Conan the Destroyer, Red Sonja, you know, the remake of The Jazz Singer. This guy was a director, right? Mm-hmm. But remember I told you the creaky oldness? He was also born in fucking 1918. 1916. I'm sorry.
Born in
he was like fucking a million. 1916. Yeah. 1916.
Lord, how old was he when he did this movie?
Well,
you said 83, right?
This was 1983, so he directed it probably in 82.
Like, if he wasn't in his 70s, he was like in his.
He was old.
Yeah,
he was old. And I think that kind of comes into play because it feels like very creaky. This movie is very creaky, and then they try to throw in a bunch of psycho babble into it. But this opening scene happens, and it's just like, you know, they call him out. They're like, "Ah, we got you phony asses." And they're like, yeah, let's get out of here. Let's go check the house out. And the power goes out. And they're like, never mind, let's come back later. And then we get like some spookiness. But guys, let's talk about the characters, because our lead guy, he is special. It's Tony Roberts as John Baxter. What do you guys think of John?
I mean, he looks like such a 70s guy. If we're just, if we're being honest, he just looks like straight out of the 70s.
You
curly hair,
the fucking Chia Pet hair is something else.
Yeah.
The Chia Pet hair. You know who he reminds me of? It's like every time I watch it, I feel like we're watching the fucking Brady Bunch. Yeah. Robert Reed. Robert Reed just fucking pops up on screen. This guy is one of those like stoic actors, one of these guys, you know, from like the 70s. You know what I mean? He's like, I just write the news articles, baby.
Yeah.
I just never seen anything to make me believe in ghosts, baby. And you're just like, okay, this is an interesting lead, I guess.
Yeah. I liked him though. I didn't find anything like super, I don't think he's obnoxious about him or anything like that.
No, I don't think his acting was bad. I mean, there's a couple choices that I don't think are great, but I don't think his acting's bad. I think the character is written horribly. I just think he's like just generic boring man. Like he has no like personality to speak of.
His wife divorced him, so he's got that going for him.
He does have that going for him, which is
they
nice.
both agreed to that divorce.
It was amicable even. His partner actually, I think, was the best character in the movie. Really, the woman, I think she's pretty good. I think her, no, not the ex-wife. The
his partner,
his writing partner, because she was like, you know, investigating and all this stuff.
Interesting.
Her arc, I wouldn't even say really an arc, but like her path through this movie is kind of weird.
No, it's terrible. Yeah,
like
it's terrible. It's terrible
because you would have figured that she would have been. It's kind of like in the middle of it, she had a scheduling conflict, so then they had to like swap out his ex-wife for his partner.
The ex-wife just comes in out of nowhere. Like you see her at the beginning of the movie, she's like real small part. Then by the end of the movie, she's like the co-lead, and you're like, "What?"
Yeah, strange. That they should have.
Yeah, we got to write her out.
I'd have done that different.
Fiery car death.
Yeah. So, dude, we should just. I mean, we should. I don't know how to go about this. We should just start talking about different things because it's kind of all over the place a little bit. So here's the thing about this movie: stuff happens, but also nothing happens through the runtime of the film, because we have a bunch of false scares, and some of these false scares are just so terrible. The first scare, like the first real scare, is when like the evil, or not the evil, but the landlord comes to visit, and he it's like they couldn't even think of a new thing. They just did the thing that happened in the past.
Yes. Okay. So, he fell into the well. So I feel like that marked him somehow, right?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. I guess.
They
but
don't
he has
say that.
The pictures, and he's all like,
dude, the pictures. Oh my gosh. The funniest scene in the whole movie.
Derek, by the way. Yeah. What were you saying? The funniest?
I'm trying to. Oh, sorry, Lydia. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Were the pictures pre-falling into the well, or after, or maybe a mixture?
It was a mixture because she takes the pictures when they're down in the basement, just in general.
But she was taking a lot like after he fell too.
She was doing that all through the whole thing. But yeah, what were you saying? The funniest thing is, Lydia?
The funniest thing in the whole movie was when she was developing those pictures and like looking at them with the magnifying glass.
And you see that face?
Dude, me and Jake lost it. We completely lost it.
I lost it on that scene too. Sarah was in the other room and she's kind of walking back and forth. She's in the kitchen at one point, and I'm in the bedroom watching this. And Connor walks in and she's like, "Oh, baby, Dad's watching." I was like, "He can watch us, trust me." And I'm just laughing. She's like, and I'm like hardcore guffawing. I'm like, and she's like, "What are you laughing in there? Are you watching a scary movie?" I was like, "Supposedly." So just trust me, this movie's hilarious.
Yeah.
So his death is so dumb, like the flies things. But the best, this has to be the movie This has to be the 3D movie with the worst 3D moments
Dude,
I've ever seen in my life.
Truly.
Yeah.
His hand on the, I was like, man, if I went to the theaters in 1983, I paid my hard-earned money, sit down for whatever it was, 50 cents to sit down and watch this movie. And I'm like, oh, it's 3D. And this is the shit I was given. I'd have felt burnt.
Dude, it was
time.
literally like sticks. Like just like the stupidest things.
And then the
hand. A frisbee? The frisbee?
Yeah, the frisbee.
Why is there a frisbee 3D effect in Amityville horror movie? Like, come on.
I know in Friday 3D, we talked about how you could see those moments, but they were good. They were at least fun and interesting things being jutted at the camera. Like an eyeball and shit.
Yeah.
And this, you just get like frisbees and hand
sticks.
There's pipes at one point.
A pipe does come through at one point. Yeah.
Oh, that was probably the best one.
It was probably the best one.
So after he finds him and he's, after John finds him dead, and I like how she immediately is like, I think that there's something wrong with that house. And which is hilarious because it's like, okay, but he just died, okay, sure. But you were literally a skeptic. Now you're just like, there's something wrong. Look at the pictures. Okay, sure. So stay away from it. But instead, she decides to just go investigate it a bunch of different times. And she gets one time where she runs into like the caretaker who looks like she just jumped off the set of fucking House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah. Dolores.
Yeah. That whole scene lacked any sort of tension. I'm just like, we're just like, this is like a travelogue. We're just roaming from room to room. Like, it's like she's showing us the house as a realtor. I don't understand what's going on. And then when she gets attacked by the house, it's so stupid. I don't know what the fuck is going. Like,
it was
the door opens and it's shooting ice at her or something. I don't know what the ice is about.
So cold. It was like freezing her out.
And they had teased that at points because, like, when they leave the house, the window freezes up, and then there was a mirror that froze up, and it's just like then they blasted the air conditioner at her.
I don't fucking understand. Is Jack Frost now inhabiting this?
Mr. Freeze, he lives in the basement.
Yeah, it's Arnold. He's like, get out of my house. Yeah. Yeah, so that happens. And guys, I'm just going to say it. The stupidest fucking scene in this entire film, and it kind of makes me angry because it's so dumb, but I laughed at it because it's so dumb, is the elevator. The elevator scene.
Oh, yeah.
It is the fucking stupidest, most awful, horribly shot thing I think I've ever seen. Like, I'm just like, he's like, oh, then he goes, oh.
Dude, when he like, I honestly, I have to say, I had a great time watching this movie. It was so entertaining to me, and like talking about it now, I'm like, okay, this movie was bad, but like I had so much fun watching. When he was laying flat on the floor of the elevator, I was like having such a great time.
When he's laying flat in the elevator, it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon. What are we doing here? And then when he jutted up, he's like
funny.
Up on the ceiling.
He's clearly just like on a chair.
Yeah, just being pushed up. What I'm saying, this movie is so cheap. It feels so cheap.
Hey, budget, man. Budget.
Dude, I imagine, like, I do. And that's why it's even worse. Like, what are we doing here? Here's why. Because they saved all their budget for the meltdown.
Yeah,
for sure. So that means that all the rest of this movie is just, in the end, sucks too. We'll get to it, but there's a lot of production value on it. But the rest of the movie has like zero production value. So we get that weird elevator thing. But her car accident, guys. This makes me laugh so hard because it's like a kind of horribly brutal murder in this scene.
It
so, like, if
is.
this movie had any balls or teeth, this would have been effective. But since it doesn't, it ends up coming out as hilarious. Because what makes it so funny is how mean it is. And then when he opens the door, it's like a fucking trick-or-treat skeleton.
It is, yeah. And he doesn't react at all to seeing a burned alive human being.
That's his face, isn't it?
That was like barbecuing right in front of him. Like, he would smell burning human flesh, and he did not react at all.
So the fly. So let's talk about the flies, because
Oh,
they're everywhere
God.
in this thing. But
I
the
love
fly
it. I
is
love
what
the
initially causes her to crash. She's and then the wheel jerks. Oh! We get
Dude,
the
I
cool...
forgot that that's what caused it. Was those stupid flies on a string. It's like the size of a moth.
Some of these. You can see the strings on some of them.
Yeah.
On him, when he's doing it and going like this, you can totally see the string. But yeah, this scene, the crash itself is pretty cool. And we get the cool effect, like we said, the 3D effect of the pipe.
Yep, and the fly.
And then so the thing's on fire. So she like goes to put it out.
Oh yeah. Her briefcase
The
with
picture.
the picture.
The picture catches fire. So then she goes to put it out. And then the next thing you know, her hand is covered in gasoline. I mean, it's actually like gel, the fire resistant gel. But
Yeah.
it's just like, oh,
Dude, I was like, man, the polyester. You gotta stop
Escalated.
wearing the polyester.
that escalated super quickly. But the fact that, like, just that's what I'm saying. It's like a mean. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. That's actually effective, mean scene. That's a pretty good horror movie death. Completely undercut by the guy finding her, and she turned into a Pirates of the Caribbean skeleton,
Yeah.
and she goes, eh.
Yeah. It's insane.
What'd you think of this, Derek?
That specific scene. So I agree with pretty much every point that you made. Because it was a very brutal death. I had stepped away to use the restroom, and I came back, and I'm like, "What happened?" So I had to rewind it to watch it, and I'm just like, "What happened?" I mean, what happened? I thought she was gonna make it to the end. I haven't seen this movie in like 20 or 30 years, so like that was still like kind of caught me out by surprise. But yeah, like underwhelming. The guy who does find her, like, that kind of killed the scene. You're right; it really undercut it quite a bit. Because until that point, like it was the most impressive scene.
Yeah, and
the movie had.
It could have been way better if they just would have pulled out on the car. But we had to have this guy find it. Then that car had to fill with like smoke fog, like looked like John Carpenter's The Fog all of a sudden. And then the skeleton had to go, bleh, and you're like, did anybody say no to you on this film? Because they should have. They should have said, I don't know if this is going to work.
Well, even in editing, you could have just left it at the fire.
Yeah.
They should have had someone from the movie find her, and then it would have worked.
Well, I still don't think it would work.
Some guy. I think, I mean, like, as far as like a burning alive
emotionally, it might
in a
have
car,
landed more. Yeah,
like that. It could have landed more if there was any emotion to the reaction of the spookiness of it. But it was just like a guy staring at her. And
and like any reaction, or
like a visceral,
anything,
a visceral reaction.
Or, hell, I would have even taken.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes,
doesn't
like
cut it.
Her partner would have found her. If the scientist would have found her, if the ex-wife would have just happened to be driving that way.
We've got to talk about the scientist, because this guy is one of the worst characters ever created in the film.
What?
Because he makes no sense.
He's the main character.
He's literally there to spout exposition when they decide to go into poltergeist mode. He's literally, I feel like he's shoe-inned to the movie. Like, he's literally just shoe into the movie. And then he knows nothing. And that's what makes it so funny. Like, he's just like, starts talking about the, like, we have that scene where we just cut to him, the wife talking to him for some reason. Like, what do you think? Like, oh yeah, we're old buddies.
Yes.
Me and your ex-wife, we're old friends, I guess.
Yes, exactly. I had a problem with that too. Of like, why is she here talking to this guy? Just, I guess they're friends. I don't know.
I guess. And then he's like, doing the sensory deprivation bit and all that stuff, and you're just like, okay,
yeah.
And you're thinking something's going to come back or something. It does not. But anyway, let's talk about, because there's only 3 people four once the scientists die of our main cast. Because let's talk about that seance scene you mentioned, Derek, with old Lori Loughlin and Meg Ryan. So what do you guys think of this scene?
Well, we gotta go talk about Meg Ryan and these girls for a minute, because
go ahead.
Because she's Meg Ryan's character, Lisa.
Yeah, I think that's her name.
Lisa,
it is,
Tina,
yes,
or something like that.
It's Lisa. Because her name's Susan.
Susan and Lisa.
Yep.
Yeah. So Lisa is like coming over to the house, and she's like, I read all about your dad's articles about this house, and there's a, well, first of all, she says, you can have sex with ghosts,
Yeah.
I read all about it. And then she's like, I read all the articles, and there's a portal to hell in the basement, so we should go there. And she's just being so silly and quirky and goofy and stuff. And you're just like, oh gosh, tone it down a little.
Just a smidge.
So they get spooked out in the basement, and then now they're talking to these cute boys, and they're like, let's go have a seance at the house. So they go into the bedroom, and the girl's clearly like, please don't do this in my bedroom, I'm already spooked.
Yeah.
But they're like, they set up the Ouija board in a circle, and they got a glass, and they all got their finger on it, and they're all like, you're pushing it. And then the glass goes flying across the room. And
Ouija
like, you
board.
did that.
Yeah.
The disgrace.
This thing was so funny.
Mattel would be so mad. Yeah,
the makeshift Ouija board. And what's really funny is the glass, the planchet as a glass.
Yeah.
Because, like, historically, the planchet would go over the letter. But since they're just pieces of paper drawn around it, they have to go in front of it, which is kind of confusing because it can kind of be in front of 2 different ones at the same time. So you got to figure it out. And they have yes and no. It's just the most jank thing. And there's, like I said, 0 tension throughout this whole scene. So you're just kind of like, okay. And there's no production value, because so them making it themselves is quirky and fun, but it adds no production value to the movie. So it just makes it look even cheaper and shittier.
Yeah, it really does.
And then the effect of just the glass flying is just so lame. They could have had like fucking papers catch fire or something besides just the glass flying. And
I don't know. I felt like it was kind of like, that's how you expect it to go. Like, when you're like in high school and you're like playing with the Ouija board or whatever, you're like, ooh, but what if the planchette flies across the room? Like, that's just like typical.
Yeah. And it's like, who of us are in danger? Susan? Oh, like, well, we didn't see that coming, because this house now, by the way, can just like magically do things. I mean, there's stuff that happened with the priest in the first movie with the car thing flying up and him getting the blisters. He's the only one that was affected like that outside of the house.
Right.
Because the main couple, once they leave, right? Once the Lutzes leave the house, they're different people.
Right.
Like, George is nice, everybody's nice. And they go back to the house and they're shitty again. But this one, the house, like the elevator thing is just fucking like, what?
That was bad.
So it's like, what is going on here? So again, when I talk about the lack of tension, they go out onto the lake in their boat. Somebody's
Somebody's
boat. I don't know who the fuck's boat it is. They're just like, hey guys, look, there's a boat. And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Called Grand Theft Auto, but okay, whatever you want to do. So they go out, and then for some reason the mom comes she comes to the house because she's like, I haven't heard from Susan. I need to go see if she's at her dad's house, which I forbid her to go to. Sidebar, pause. There's a line in this movie that cracks me up when her and him get into an argument when she goes to visit him at work. And she's like, I don't want her at my house. I forbid it. I forbid her being at your house. And he's like, well, I have a say in this too. She's my daughter. And she's like, well, you can just take it up with my lawyer. I would have said, okay, let's do that. We'll go to the judge. We'll say, Judge, she's not giving me my visitation because she thinks my fucking house is haunted. Let's see how that plays out. What are we talking about here? What are you talking about?
Good point.
What are you talking about? That's not a thing. You can't forbid your child from going to your their other parents' house because you think the house might be haunted. That's not a real thing. That's not a real thing, guys.
But it's not just any haunted house. It's the most
the most famous haunted house. That is true.
Yes.
Which is still in the market because nobody will buy it. Even though real life has been bought like 1 billion times.
Yeah.
And had 0 hauntings since the 1970s. But yeah. So the mom sees her walking in. Lydia, this is your first time seeing this. You 100% knew she was a ghost, right? When she walked in wet.
I didn't. I
Really?
totally didn't. I was like,
you did, right, Derek?
It took me a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I do remember that part. Yeah.
It took me a minute. I'm going to be honest. I should have known.
But
I was like, I thought, honestly, what I thought happened was she murdered all of her friends on the boat, swam to shore.
That'd have been way cooler. I would have wished that would have been
cooler, right?
Yeah. Instead, we get possibly the worst parenting, worst first aid that's ever existed on film.
Yeah.
So old John walks up with his Chia Pet hair and his bag of groceries, and he's, what's going on over there? And he runs down there. Susan, no, Susan. And he just hugs her, picks her up multiple times, just hugs her. I'm like, why aren't you giving her mouth to mouth? Why isn't anybody doing any kind of CPR? Why are you guys just sitting there?
Literally. And like, what happened?
She fell off the boat.
That's it.
More than what happened.
That's what we're told.
Demon drug her down and drowned her like Jason and let her go.
Oh, why didn't they tell us that?
It'd been better if we would have saw some of that instead of, just like none of that happened.
They blew their budget on the Ouija board, man.
Yeah.
We're using priceless paper for this Ouija. This glass rimmed crystal.
Yeah. Dude, that's hilarious.
But yeah, so then the mom loses it, of course, and it's just this whole third act is so dumb. Everything about from this point on is so dumb. Because she's like, first of all, the way he acts is not how I would act if my kid had just died.
Yeah.
Well, I tried to tell her, but she's not listening. She didn't even come to the funeral. Listen, the things I've seen, I'd believe anything. She's not seen anything. That's the thing, that guy. He's not seen anything. You've seen like a couple of weird things in your house and an elevator malfunction. That's all that guy saw.
Well, he did see a guy die like in his face.
Yeah, but I mean, even after that, he was 100% skeptical.
Unplussed. He was unplussed about it.
Yeah, this was the first, I think the first thing that like really led him to believe that, and the weird ass dream that he had, like following.
Oh, dude, the dream.
Drunk on the couch.
Dream is the worst. This well, by the way, guys, this well is a horrible like creation and is terrible. It's so dumb. It's just such a weird fabrication.
It's really hard when movies try to do like gate to hell scenario. Like it's just really
Lydia,
really cheesy.
it's even worse when churches do it in real life.
It's even worse when the portals open up to hell. Right, Derek?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because there's 7 of them.
7 portals to hell. But no, you're right, because it's such a stupid concept is why. It's hard to do. It's such a hokey concept. It's hard to do seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to get any sort of real motivation and like fear behind it, because it's like just a kind of outlandish. You know, like think about the gate, right? The gate kind of does a portal to hell.
Yes,
but it does
I
it
was
in like
thinking
a
of that.
fun way. But it does it in a fun way.
Yes.
So we kind of go along with it because of the tone, right?
Well, and thank goodness, because it's the whole premise of the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
The title.
This portal to hell is like like you said, it's a well.
It's a well, yeah. It's just a spooky well under a house.
That's all it is, a well.
Oh
well. So this ending, you guys, is just Poltergeist. Like, he goes to his friend's like, well, wait a minute. What if there is some truth to this? And what if we can... So either we can prove to her that she's crazy, and maybe she'll listen to you, and we can prove that there's nothing there, or we can save her sanity by showing that it is there. What?
He's in
Rewind.
It for
Come again.
publicity.
Think about that. Does that make any sense to you? Does that even track? What are you talking about?
No, because she is really clearly insane. Like she did see the ghost, but like she's also completely bonkers.
Yeah, she's lost realities at this point because she doesn't want to believe that the best part. It's the dumbest part, but when she's talking to him and he confronts her and he's like, "You got to understand what's really going on here. You know what our reality is now." And she's like, "Well, I know what I saw, and so something along the lines of like, why is it okay for us to believe what you saw, but not okay to believe what I saw?" Because she's fucking in a box. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
because I can prove it. It's here.
Yeah.
Well,
the way he reacts, he's like she's got a good point. Like, no, she doesn't. It's stupid. It's a dumb point.
Confines of the movie, like from her perspective, that was her reality. She did see her daughter come. Now, I mean, after that, she doesn't see her again. Like, where did she go?
Well, and
then
she
you
also
got this dead body.
She sees the dead body.
She comes out. I know.
That's what I'm saying.
But
that's why it makes
I would have had a mental break as well. If that were me.
So she's in the kitchen and she's like, she understands that her daughter is dead, like that happened. And she's like
there, I guess. Yeah.
She's like, she's still here though, and this is like the reality that I'm living in.
To let us know that she's still here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like she's contradicting herself. Like she's still here, and then she's like talking about getting her a sweater, like a cashmere sweater, and I'm like, what? She's here as a ghost. Why do you think she needs a sweater?
Well, she was pretty wet the last time we saw her. She's probably cold.
Probably was, yeah. She's a wet ghost.
She's a wet ghost, which is a different kind of wet ghost than the one in the Entity. Anyway.
Meg Ryan must have watched that one before filming this.
Yeah, she did.
You know, there is a movie out there called Ghostly Sensations.
Well, there's also the Entity. But yeah, so this ending, it's Poltergeist. They're like there's no bones about it. They go there with a team of people. They set up the whole ghost monitoring things, just like Poltergeist. They have a ghostly apparition appear, which is some kind of green fart cloud. I don't know what that's about. And then he's like, don't mess with her. Let it happen. We will watch it happen.
Yeah.
And this guy has this like plan for somehow he knows stuff that he could possibly not know. And he doesn't know because it doesn't work. Like,
yeah,
it's so stupid.
It's stupid.
It's stupid. He goes down to the well And then he's just staring into it. Keep her back. I must confront it. That's the only way to stop it. What?
How do you know that? And
it does. Like, I mean, I guess it kind. I don't understand. I don't understand any of this ending because the stupid looking monster pops out.
Yes.
And burns his face with its fucking
Dude,
Godzilla breath.
That scream though.
Then he gets
I laughed
pulled down.
so hard.
Dude, then he gets pulled down and he's like, Susan, you're free now. Run. You're like, what? So then her cloud leaves. And then all of a sudden, everything just starts icing up and blowing up.
Yeah, like hot ice.
Why?
Everywhere.
Why does this happen? Why does this happen? Did you guys catch why this happened?
It's the rules. You know? Poltergeist rules. It blows up.
So, I'm reading on the Wikipedia, and they don't even know, because here's what it says. You ready?
Yeah.
It says, a demon leaps from the well, burns Elliot's face with his fiery breath, and drags him to hell. The house begins to implode. Much of Elliot's team is killed by flying and exploding objects, but John, Nancy, and several others escape. Okay, so it doesn't even know why this happens. It just does. It's just a thing that happens. Like, why does it start exploding and imploding and freezing? And what is going on here, guys?
I don't know, but it looked cool.
There's some cool stuff. There's some cool explosions going on, and the funniest is when the
door.
The door is really funny, but also so is when it goes. The spiral just appears on the well.
Yeah,
and it just explodes, and you're like,
I thought the same thing. I was like, what is that? Ice? And then it exploded with fire, and I was like, what?
What is going on? So yeah, just the house blowing up and stuff, and yeah, basically Susan's cloud leaves, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what's happening here. Then somehow these two estranged lovers are like holding each other at the end and watching the house, and then we push in on like the well. And we see another fly.
Yeah. Then we get a freeze frame
on the fire well. What do you guys think of this ending?
It was great. I loved it.
What do you?
You guys didn't love it? You didn't love it? Come on, you loved it a
glad that it
little.
was over.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what, it was way more exciting when I was in 6th grade.
So, yeah, its ending makes no sense. It's a mess. The stuff looks cool when it's blown up. The production value is good on that stuff. Some of it's fucking pretty jank too. Like when the swordfish flies off the wall.
I gasped when that swordfish flew. I was like,
and then everything's blocked, dude. When he's trying to get out of that door and he just keeps going, "Meh, meh." I was laughing. I was like,
and she was just standing there freezing, and he's just like, "Yeah, that lasted way too long of him doing that."
Yeah. Like, what? Why did it take you this long to decide to grab something and smash out? It's glass. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
killed me. So yeah, the ending is dumb. It makes no sense. It's a ripoff of Poltergeist, 1,000,000%. Like, there's no bones about it. I mean, I think it's like one of those unabashed ripoffs, right? Like, and it reeks also of just like, it doesn't fit the rest of the movie. It just feels like it's tacked on, which is why I think that as they were filming it, they're like, "Do you guys see fucking Toby Hooper and Spielberg's Poltergeist? That shit is cleaning up at the box office and it's great. Let's do that with our movie." And they're like, "Sure, I think we could throw something together. We already have all this stuff blowing up, so you want to just add like some like paranormal researchers in there and shit? Yeah, and some kind of subplot about trying to get the daughter to escape. Come on, guys, what are we doing here? But yeah, that is old Amityville 3D, which, by the way, up until the Ryan Reynolds remake, this is the last theatrically released Amityville movie.
Interesting.
I mean, I looked at their box office, and there's a reason why.
Yes. So,
I'm sure after, like, with marketing and all that stuff factored in there, it was in the red.
Dude, this movie
It did
made
not do very well.
It made $6.3 million
on a $6 million budget,
and it has an 18% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
18.
18. 1-8
out of 20,
out of 100. Out of 100.
Ah, I know. I'm just kidding.
That's pretty low.
Little high.
That's like surprisingly low, I feel like.
Not surprising at all, Lydia.
No. This is going to be one of those moments, Lydia, that I'm usually on the other side where, like, yeah, this movie was pretty decent, and you guys are like, what are you talking about?
So that's Amityville. Who wants to go first with their rating?
I'll go first. So I picked this movie for nostalgia, right? To take me back as a kid. And I got to tell you, like, whenever Aunt Becky died, I didn't shed a tear this time, but I felt
because
that
of the
pain.
college scandal.
Huh? Oh well, I mean,
no, dude, it's because it was the least emotional death scene in any movie ever.
Correct.
That's why.
I mean, I was only emotional because I had her connection from a different property.
Yeah.
So, but
that hadn't even come out yet.
Right. This movie was it was not good. It was not good. I don't know what IMDb has this as, but I'm going to give it a 4.
Excuse me. Sorry, guys. A 4?
Yep.
Well, let's see. I'm going to tell you what IMDb gave it. Amityville 3D on IMDb. Lydia, you can go first if you want me to, but you're right in line with the rating there, Derek.
Well, shoot, guys.
You do it how you want to do it, Lydia. Don't let us influence you. If you like this movie, give it a good rating.
So what I did was I went back to our last episode, Amityville 2, and I kind of skipped through to the end I tried to skip through to our ratings, but I didn't quite find where they were. But I did. It was a lot of fun watching now. I highly recommend going back and watching that. But it seemed like the first one I really didn't enjoy as much, and the second one I said was probably a better movie than the first one, but also still didn't really like it that much. And this one I liked a whole lot. I had a lot of fun watching this one. Whether I don't know if it's because it was bad and I was just having a fun time. I think
that's
Jamie,
why. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think there probably wasn't any tension, and I didn't even pick up on the fact that there was no tension during this movie because I was having such a good time watching it. But I thought it was an enjoyable watch compared to a lot of movies that we've watched. So I almost want to give it. I feel like I need to consider all your guys' points though in my rating because I don't know.
As long as you don't give it a 10, I feel like I'm
not going to give it a 10.
Or a 7, even.
Lydia, don't let him influence you. You do give it whatever you want.
Yeah, because I was kind of thinking a 6.
Okay. You want to do that, or you go with that?
I know I'm kind of generous sometimes, but I enjoyed this movie. I really, truly did.
Okay.
I did not enjoy this movie at all. I enjoyed talking about it way more than I enjoyed the movie. The movie is terrible. It's not good. It's just that's what it is. It's not good. It's not scary. It's not interesting. It's tensionless. It makes no sense. It's a hodgepodge of ideas. It's a PG rated Amityville movie with like scares from the 1960s. And it's 1983 at this point, and it feels old and creaky and not contemporary and desperate with the 3D, and you have like a 40-year-old lead, and just kind of like, what are we doing here? So yeah, I didn't think none of this movie worked. The only thing that worked about it was how much it didn't work, because everything was just so bad to me. And the fact that I had trouble getting it to start. I was going through different. The Pluto wasn't working for me. I found it on YouTube Movies. Had to go through all these steps just to watch it, and then to just be rewarded with the movie that. I mean, when you picked it last week, Derek, I told you, I was like, oh, because here's the thing about this movie is that I didn't talk about in the beginning is. Like I said, I've tried to watch this movie several times. I have watched it several times, but there's other times I've tried to watch it on like Sci-Fi Channel or something. There'd be a marathon of these things. And literally I only get about halfway through, and it's just I'm checked out on my phone. Or back then I wasn't on my phone. Back then I was just moving on to something else. I was like, I can't do this. Because it's just nothing happens. And then a lot of stuff happens at the same time, and it's just tensionless, and none of it matters. So yeah, I'm going to give it a good old 4 as well, Derek. I'm right there. I just do not think this is I think this is the worst of the 3 that we watched by far.
What?
By far. Like on like just filmmaking, from a filmmaking perspective, from a story perspective, from an acting perspective, it's just the worst. Yeah, it's fun because it's terrible, but yeah, it's not very good. I didn't have fun watching it. I had way more fun talking about it. I was like begging for it to end. I actually, at one point, I paused it to see how much time was left, and there was like 50 minutes left, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like after her car accident, I was like, oh, I was hoping we were close to the end. So guys, it's time to Akanize Amityville 3D.
Thrill me.
Tom Atkins would play the lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Case closed.
Then this movie would have been
way better. Would have been way better. I would have enjoyed it.
He would have slept with Meg Ryan's character too.
He would have also slept with his partner, and he would have slept with his wife.
And hopefully not his daughter.
Probably not his daughter, but offset, probably.
Probably.
Offset.
If it was Amityville 2, maybe.
Yeah. He definitely in Amityville 2. He'd be like, sis, come over here. I like to play in the same gene pool, if you know what I'm saying.
Ugh, that almost made me gag.
Yep. That was gross.
I want our family tree to have no branches.
Well, one that loops back in on itself.
Yeah, it's just a circular one. It's fine. So, Lydia, it's your turn to pick.
Oh.
What are we watching next week?
Oh, shoot. Let's do the third Conjuring.
Conjuring 3?
I have a lot to say about that movie, so let's do it. All
right. So next week, we are doing The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Where's that? I think that's streaming on it was on HBO, right?
I don't know. I probably should have.
I think you're right. Yeah,
before I decided.
It is. Yes, it is on Max. So if you have a Max subscription, it's also on Hulu. You can find it on Amazon Prime, YouTube, Roku, Apple TV, Fandango at home. No Fubo. So next week we are going to do the third but not last of the Conjuring films, because we still have a lot of that universe to get through, because
That's
we've only
right.
done the first Annabelle, not done any of the Nuns. We've not done well, those are basically it, but we haven't done any of those.
So far.
We'll get to them. We'll get to them. So next week, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Derek, you got a story for us tonight?
I gave you my story about Aunt Becky.
But that was in the context of the thing. I thought.
No.
Why don't you talk about the portals from hell?
I think we already did.
Well, do it
But
again.
I'll tell it again.
Yeah. Lydia doesn't
We were
remember
in
the portals from hell.
No, so we were in Joey's dad's car. Now, why we were in his car, I don't remember. Like, I think Joey
was
used
taking
it
us-
to go
Yes.
somewhere, to take us somewhere.
We were driving because Joey's car was like on the fritz.
Yeah,
So we
and
used
so
Bill's.
there was a booklet or a CD back there, some sort of like religious.
It was like one of those little
thing.
pamphlets.
Yeah, and so like we started looking through it, and it was talking about how, like, you know, there are 7, like, from their perspective, there's 7 physical portals to hell on the earth. And so, like, and it had a phone number. And so, man, I wish that I could have kept it together, because we called them and I started like asking her questions. I was like, "You really believe that there are 7 portals to hell? Well, where are they?" Like, I started asking her questions. We started laughing too hard. Like, I couldn't keep the gag up.
We wanted to be sure if we steered clear from them. So if it's like in Boise, Iowa, we want to we want to stay out of, like, it's like, oh, it's in Dearborn, Michigan. Well, let's stay the fuck out of Dearborn. You know what I mean? Like,
There is
what are
a
you
hell
talking
in
about?
Michigan.
There is hell, Michigan. Yep, that's probably one of them. That's one of them. But yeah, we thought it was hilarious. We were like, Joey, why does your dad have this? He's like, I don't know. My dad's religious. I was like, yeah, but this is not religious. This is like,
I'm not going to talk ill of anybody, but I bet that his brother gave it to him.
yes, 100%,
Phil's brother.
100%. So, if you guys know of the 7 portals to hell, leave those in the comments below, so that way we can avoid going to those specific locations. We don't want to be stuck in hell, That wraps up our show tonight, guys. Hopefully you had as much fun listening to us talk about Amityville 3D as we had talking about it, because it's a wild, strange movie. And just so slow. So slow. But, stay tuned next week. We'll be talking about the latest Conjuring movie, which we do have a lot to talk about, Lydia. There's a lot to kind of unpack with this movie when we get to the behind the scenes of it, like the actual story and such. So it's a lot to talk about. So next week, Conjuring, Devil Made Me Do It, HBO Max. Check it out. Go below, check out all the shorts. We're preparing for the movie. So go down there, watch all of that stuff, like and subscribe, and tell your friends. And then come back next week to talk about The Conjuring. So for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.